September was an amazing month for gamers. We all know the gaming industry by now, companies rushing to release the next big game, but in the process the game is released in an unfinished state. September 2023, however, would right the wrongs of one such game with a new update. While we were promised fixes after the release of the game, to what extent was the real question. But despite its unfinished state, the game sold surprisingly well, and with the success of the franchise's expansion into multimedia, including a successful Netflix series, the developers were even more determined to do the fans right. So during the latter half of September, those fans were treated to the final update for Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon blew my expectations away. Now, that may sound like a good thing, and it is, relatively. My expectations for this game was very low. It was originally announced that we'd be getting more playable characters and a new story for this update, but how this would tie together with the base game was left a mystery. At first, I believed Sonic Team would just plop Tails, Knuckles, and Amy into the cyberspace stages so they'd basically control like Sonic and have one or two unique moves to them. Surprisingly though, that wasn't the case. These three characters would be implemented into the final island of the game, which meant that these characters would need a full moveset to do combat and solve puzzles. The island would also be completely reworked to change the ending that was universally panned for being underwhelming. Now that's all dandy, but I still didn't think the overall game design would be any better. Frontiers was originally a very simple and automated game to complete. I just didn't have much faith in the team to recreate the island in a way that was intentionally fun to play through. So how did they fare? I can tell you one thing for sure though, I don't think any of the polish issues I had with Frontiers was fixed. This is solely new content built onto a janky game. Sonic Frontiers will feel like Sonic Frontiers. Instead, most of the improvements come from the game design aspect. One thing that spoiled the base game was that a lot of the platforming was very automated. But no worries, Sonic Team has remedied the issue by turning most of the game into a Roblox obby. Do I want my Sonic games to be Roblox obbies from now on? That should not be a question that needs answering, but I'll take it over the game playing itself. The solution to traversing the platforms feel really open-ended this way, especially when the three new characters have some sort of mid-air ability that helps them travel further while airborne compared to Sonic. Like, I could have solved the puzzle how the game devs intended, or I can glide behind it for a secret. Alternatively, I could do this completely unrelated platforming segment, glide to another unrelated platforming segment, unlock a bit more of the map, and glide over to my objective from there. The possibilities are never ending. It's cool, I feel smart for playing Frontiers, even if that's a low bar. I think this was all unintentional though, because there are a few points in the game where I can just fly to the objective, even though these guys set up a whole obstacle course for me to do. And those poor Sonic developers, slaving away in their chairs just for me to ignore their magnum opus. Another neat change is the game actually making progression difficult if you don't have certain skills. It was very welcome to see that I needed certain moves to progress, and reminded me of Metroidvanias, except instead of finding the skills, you have to unlock them by finding enough skill points. You can still progress though without the needed skills because the game is so open, but hey, it's the thought that counts. However, this further supports my proposal that the next open zone Sonic game needs to be less open and instead be a web of linear stages that you can run through freely. Although this openness might have been done on purpose because these guys just decided to give Tails and Knuckles the most broken traversal upgrades, with Tails gaining access to the Tornado 3, aka the Cyclone, aka Tails' mech from Sonic Adventure 2. Just Psyloop and Infinity Symbol and Tails can fly wherever he needs. And Knuckles has an infinite glide, get to a high enough vantage point, and the whole map is his to explore. Just so Amy doesn't get left in the dust though, Sonic Team implemented character-specific puzzles so that you can't just cheese every platform segment with Tails. Now, only Tails can cheese his own platforms. The worst part of the update by far is the tower climbing. Now these aren't poorly designed or anything, but they really took those Sonic Frontiers' easy comments to heart and said, no checkpoints. If you fall, you have to start all over again. It kinda goes against the whole gameplay philosophy of Sonic. The games are supposed to be easy enough to clear, but to clear them with skill is a whole nother can of worms. That's why Sonic has the ring system. It allows you to take hits but easily recover for another hit, so that you aren't scared of going fast and trying out cool tricks. But in Frontiers, This put me into cardiac arrest! Now, if you're cool like me, you can use a few simple techniques to save yourself during a fall, but let's be real here, if Sonic isn't your special interest, then you're probably not going to play this way. And the fact still stands that the camera angles in this game aren't very good. Sonic also lacks a clearly defined shadow on platforms, so a lot of the falls that'll happen will feel unfair because you're mostly misjudging the perspective. I'm a Chad though, so I took the liberty of doing this all in hard mode. I hate this game. Don't fret though, I finished it all in hard mode on my first playthrough. This is but a mere recording of my second playthrough and I didn't want to go through all that BS again. Every day I thank God for Sonic Frontiers Easy Mode. Climbing the towers brings you to mini challenges and these can be hit or miss. The first two are fairly difficult, took me most of the time allocated to beat this group of enemies, and the second one requires a very specific technique in hard mode. Took me a while to figure that out. But the third and fourth are laughably easy. I wonder how hard the fifth one will be.
Hey, what does that mean? This time trial, certain conditions of only enemy Sonic says will be fixed. Perfect parry! Perfect parry?! No way!
Oh, that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I want
what
this
you
now.
wanted.
No. Perfect parry! Oh my god, it is perfect! Whoa!
This thing is almost impossible! You have 400 rings to defeat the first 3 Titan bosses with a parry that lasts 5 frames. So, every day I thank God for Sonic Frontiers Easy Mode. This was one moment in the game I had to change it to easy mode. Dark Souls got nothing on Frontiers. I have never played a Dark Souls game before. Before I talk about the final boss, I just want to quickly tell you that I don't think the writing is any better either. Like, what is even happening here? What are impact forms? Why does Amy have such a large obsession with the Cocos? There are also a few extra scenes that expand on the lore. If you didn't know what this thing was, it's apparently a port for spaceships. Whether they knew that during development of the base game or not is beyond me. But then there are some really bad lore dumps, like Sonic asks Tails why the volcano early in the game uses pinball as a way to activate an eruption, and Tails just says the difficulty of pinball was to stop people from abusing its power. Sonic clarifies that he wants to know why pinball specifically as the method of gatekeeping, and I kid you not, Tails basically says, engineers are just quirky like that. There's a scene as well where Amy questions why the ancients believed in a god despite being so scientifically advanced. Dog, has she seen the Sonic universe? The voice direction is worse as well. Like, I know these guys can act, have mercy on them.
Thanks for the insight. We won't let you down!
So technically the ending isn't much better. I think writing wise, I prefer the original where the end tells Sonic he ain't shit. But gameplay wise, this new end takes the cake. I actually had the privilege of playing the boss with a completely level 1 Sonic, and it's actually hard. Like all the earlier Titans can be easily beaten with a level 1 Sonic, but this new one is quite a long fight and even has a moment where you need over 100 rings to progress, otherwise it's just an insta-kill. The original Supreme final boss is still in the game, and it's very annoying and you waste a lot of rings on it, but once you beat it, Supreme goes berserk, as if they didn't copy Ava enough. This boss fight solved world hunger, because Sonic fans are no longer starving. Missed opportunity to call it the Supreme End though, would have set it apart from the base, the end. This is the best boss in the game hands down. Sonic even acquires a new super form for the first time in 2 months. Sonic Prime beat Sonic Frontiers to it. But if Sonic Prime didn't exist, it would have been 14 years. This is Super Sonic 2, baby. Yeah, not a crazy new form, but hold on, it gets better. Overall, I liked how this boss required Sonic to manage a few things. It constantly regenerates from this USB-D cable, so Sonic will have to give it a pounding to cut it loose. Off-screen, Sage and friends have a force field up to protect Eggman, and if the end destroys it, that's game over. Everyone is playing a role, and that makes it very good. And the way they animate Sonic bro, he's doing this all effortlessly. Just a snap of his fingers and the end is crushed. As much as I'm hyping up the boss though, there are some rough spots. The trees like to get in the way, making it hard to parry. There's a moment in the fight where you have to side loop the end's back, and I think some dialogue from Sage telling Sonic to get the end's gun from its funky back hole thing would have been enough to clue us into what to do. But no one says anything, so I was confused for a good while. It even looks like the heroes devised a plan to take the gun before the fight, and the player just doesn't know? Eggman's just ready for it, bruh. I liked how they encouraged you to side loop the gun though, since it mirrors exactly what happened with Knight. No, I'm talking about positives again. The cutscene animations are unfortunately even stiffer than the base game, which really sucks, especially when we're at the climax, and there's like some of the coolest cinematography and framing and other film words in a Sonic game. The animators are good, the idle animations are so cool, but they need a good animation when the camera's up close to these characters. Second, please let them go. There were also moments where Sonic just needed to scream, like he's animated yelling, but they forgot to record the voice lines or something. Here, you're supposed to parry, but nothing visually indicates that. Maybe if the camera was zoomed into Sonic getting the ever-living daylights beaten out of him, less people would have been confused. So yeah, this boss is far from perfect, or even what I would consider good, but once I beat the boss and Eggman shot a freshly transformed Cyber Sonic out of the End's own gun, and you see him all dirtied up and passed out from overexertion, I died from a dopamine and adrenaline overdose.
I am so excited, I think I'm gonna explode!
Hearing Kellen Quinn's while Eggman uses his shades to target the End put me in critical condition, man. I didn't even know his shades were Google Glasses. That was the most insane lore drop of my life. So yeah, overall, it's a slight improvement. I would still consider Sonic Frontiers mid, but it's the coolest mid you'll ever consume. I give it a rating of Persona 5 out of 10 because that was literally a Persona reference. The final boss is a false being, you survive what would otherwise be a one-shot kill, then you break some chains to gain a stronger form before using a giant gun to kill the false being. Then to cap it off, you hear a lyrical version of an instrumental music piece that appeared elsewhere in the game. It's literally just Persona 5. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.